we'd like to find the derivative of this function, and we actually have 2 or 3 options for doing this. The first of those being, as I see this is a quotient, and so I could apply the quotient rule, and that would be bottom times the derivative of the top, and the derivative of v cubed is 3v squared. But then to take the derivative of this next term, I have a product, so I'm going to need to use the product rule. So the product rule is first times the derivative of the second, and we could express this as v to the 1/2. So finding its derivative is power out in front, decrease the power by 1. And then plus the second, which is, we'll write it as v to the 1/2, times the derivative of the first, and the derivative of the first would be -2. So we had bottom times the derivative of the top, all of this is the derivative of the top, minus the top, which is v to the third minus 2v times the square root of v, times the derivative of the bottom, but the derivative of the bottom is just 1, all over the bottom squared. Now we're going to have to see what we could do to simplify this. This is kind of a mess, and actually I think I'm going to stop at this point and have you see one of my points, which was, if there's a little bit of simplification to do to avoid doing the quotient rule, that's probably your best choice, because this is kind of a lot of stuff and a lot of algebra now to simplify. So let's go back, and instead a couple of other options. One of the options being, if the denominator is very simple, we could actually express this as a v to the -1. Instead of having it be a quotient, we could do a product rule. So that's option number 2, doing a product rule. But option number 3 would actually be better, because why do a product rule? We could actually distribute this through and not have a product, or doing it right from its original form. Let's do that. So what if I simply applied this to each term here and simplified? This would give me v squared minus 2, and we'll write it as v to the 1/2, because these would cancel. Now that was some very easy algebra, and we got our function down to a much simpler form, and now it would be very easy to take the derivative. And trying to do a quotient rule, trying to do even a product rule, just is much messier. So this definitely would be the way to go. Now I would have derivative of this first term is 2v, and then minus power out in front. The 2 times the half will just give me a 1 out in front. V to the decrease the power by 1. This did not involve any ugly algebra to simplify. It was a little bit of algebra up front that made finding the derivative much better.